That guy Aaron Judge is pretty good, huh?
You are Locked On Yankees, your daily New York Yankees podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Yankees, which is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every day. I'm Stacey Gotsoulias. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. With me as usual for this special live edition of Locked On Yankees, my co-host, Brian McKeon. Brian.
What's up, everybody? They avoided losing a series to the White Sox. I guess that's all you could say, right?
Good job, guys.
I don't know if we need to clap for that.
You did something that you should have done. Good job.
Yeah, listen, losing game one is obviously going to be frustrating, and it's going to go down as one of those embarrassing losses. You've seen all the headlines this week, most embarrassing Yankee loss, all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. It is embarrassing, but it is baseball. And sometimes you lose games to really bad teams. Not that the White Sox are even a major league caliber team, but you lose games sometimes. It happens.
Hold on. 1 second. We gotta do the intro before we get into everything about the White Sox. Hold on. Before we actually get started talking about this, we're going to look at your comments too. So we changed the show within the last second before we started recording. So before we get started, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast on whichever podcasting platform you prefer to listen to. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. We're almost at 7,050. We're bumping up there. So thank you for that. Like our videos, hit the bell so you're notified. So today's show, we're going to look at where the Yankees are in the standings. We're going to talk about, kind of what to expect in Detroit. Hopefully wins. The middle segment was originally going to be about Old Timers Day, which is why you see that in the rundown. But Brian has a debate for us, and you guys are going to be able to join in on that debate in the comments. But first, let's discuss the game against the White Sox, because at first, not a lot was happening, and then a lot was happening. They kind of woke up toward the end.
I think Will Warren's start was fine. I don't think he was great. I think he was all over the place at times, but I think his start was fine. And again, like I said, game one, you're going to lose games. Like, it's going to happen. That's baseball, right? You're going to lose games. I think this comment that we're seeing walking in right now, and I think it's true. Sizemore's done there's been a different job that he's done with that team than it was being done in the past. Like, they're clearly hitting more aggressively. They're playing with a little bit more pep in their step. So give it to him for that. They're not a good team. They're not a great team. They're barely a major league level team. You're going to lose games though. It's important to note that they didn't freak out over the one loss. They won 2 out of 3. They did what the best after losing that one game. They did the best they possibly could getting out of that series. And now you go on to Detroit, you move on with your life, and you figure out and you win, and you keep winning games, right? You get yourself back on track and you keep winning games. They're in good position in the Detroit series, pitching matchup wise. So that's what you have to go forward with. There's obviously other news when it comes to this game. We'll get into that, but let's go over the rest of the game first.
Yeah. So Warren, as you said, 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 earned runs, no walks, which is good. I mean, that's always good to see, 5 strikeouts. He gave up the home run to Gavin Sheets, who Gavin Sheets was like the offense for the White Sox the entire series. Like every time I saw something happening, Gavin Sheets was there. Also, I was having flashbacks. Let me know in the comments if anyone else was having flashbacks. Every time a White Sox outfielder made an incredible play, it reminded me of Aaron Rowan. You all remember him? It always seemed like he made some crazy circus catch against the Yankees, and he did it like 3 times a game whenever they played. And I was just like having awful flashbacks to Aaron Rowan. Whatever happened to Aaron Rowan?
The center field play made me think of Dwayne Wise. Remember the play that he made in the no-hitter? That made me think of that play, because the play that was made in right center was pretty much made on the exact same opposite side of the field in the no-hitter. The Mark Burley no-hitter.
Former Yankee Dwayne Wise.
Former Yankee great, exactly. He made that same kind of diving play that the awareness that was made on the double tag up, I guess if you want to call it. Is that what it's called? It kind of is like a stolen base.
Yeah. That was really
that was when it was that was when it was a 2-1 game. And Cabrera having the heads up to A, be paying attention to tag up, not knowing whether he dropped the ball or not. B, be busting his butt around third base, and also paying attention to Luis Rojas. rounding the base too. That's a lot of things. You see it a lot in modern day baseball, right? A lot of guys are not fully paying attention to where the third base coach, they're not. And he was fully attentive, staring right at him, knew to round the base, knew to go home. The Yankees, I mean, the odds are they probably wind up hitting later on and winning that game anyway. But you don't know that at that time. And they were struggling to score runs. And that inning, that run was completely manufactured by his base running. And yes, in this game, they were able to break through and score a lot of runs later on. But Stacey, you know as well as I do, as well as all of our listeners do, that doesn't happen in the postseason. You don't break games open like that in the postseason. There's great bullpens and great pitchers you're going up against. You need to manufacture runs like that in the postseason. So seeing something like that gives me a lot of confidence that they're going to be able to, in October, be able to just manufacture little runs like that here and there. You need that. It's so crucial.
Yeah. I was watching some of the post-game interviews last night, and Wells, when he was talking about his 2-run single, he was basically like, yeah, I was just trying to do something there. It's like, well, that's what you all should be trying to do. Like, don't try to swing for the fences. Like, if there's an opportunity there where you can kind of like reach out and hit something and go the other way, do it.
And that was a huge play. And then that was another one too. That gives you a lot of faith that young guy in the league can get that big knock there. I mean, that's just a huge hit right there.
Yeah.
Speaking of other huge hits, number 300, and the ball was out of the zone. He still
how did
made
he turn on
contact.
that? No, seriously, how did he turn on that? It was
No
94 in on his hands. And I was just like 3-0. He admitted after the game, he didn't say it to the scrum, but he said it to Meredith that he was a little perturbed that they intentionally walked Soto. He gets why they did it, but there was a little bit of a, oh, all right, you're going to do this. Okay.
I saw that question posed in The Athletic today, though, where they said, why walk Soto in that spot? Because he's an MVP candidate also.
Right.
And Soto's been killing them all series. He had 4 home runs. He's the only Yankee since Reggie Jackson to hit 4 home runs in 4 consecutive at-bats. So 4 out of 5 at-bats. Let's not sit here and act like walking Juan Soto was this. They didn't walk Verdugo. I mean, they walked Juan Soto. He's the 3rd best hitter in the league compared to the 1st best hitter in the league. So I don't think that was as crazy as people were making it out to be that they walked Soto. But how he got around on that ball, I mean, you're talking about this is now getting the 300th home run in under 1,000 games. The first player to ever do that. Way shorter than Ralph Kiner, like significantly shorter than Ralph Kiner. It took him. I saw a Mets fan going at me on Twitter earlier that I thought I had a brilliant reply to. I pulled the stat up for mainly just for our listeners, but I think it's perfect. People were talking about how great Pete Alonso's been, and the fact that Pete Alonso, since 2019, yes, it's true, Yankee fans, has more home runs than Aaron Judge. Doesn't count for injuries, doesn't account for anything like that. My rebuttal to that was Pete Alonso's played in 300 plus more games than Aaron Judge since 2019. And Pete Alonso has 1 singular more home run than Aaron Judge since then. 1 singular.
Well, I had mentioned this on Twitter last night. If Judge doesn't break his toe last season, when does he hit 300? Like, when does that happen?
Sometime in May or June.
Right. Yeah, it would have happened a couple months ago.
It's remarkable. All the injuries, right? What about the year that he came back and then he wound up hurting the wrist? Remember, he came back from the oblique and then wound up hurting the wrist? The tear that he was on that season, I think he finished the year that year with like 38 home runs, which, I mean, he barely played. He played in like 90 games. So imagine if he plays 140 games that year. What does he finish with? Another 55, another 60? We're on pace right now, I believe, for 58 or 59 at this point. If he does this for another couple of years, I mean, who knows where he's going to wind up in the pantheon of baseball history. It's amazing seeing the two of them play with each other in one lineup. It really is. I'm going to bring up a stat for you guys later on because I constantly go over in my head of whether or not I think at this point, I don't think it really matters whether he wins a title or not. I think he's going to be in the Yankees Monument Park at one point. I do. I think his impact has been too big. I think being named the captain is too big. I think the statistical numbers, the record-breaking numbers, all way too big. Roger Maris is in there, so I don't know how Aaron Judge doesn't wind up in there. Because, yes, Roger Maris has the magical season, but do yourselves a favor. I know a lot of you guys are aware of this. Go look at Roger Maris's career. It's not as impressive as you'd think when he's talked about in baseball lore. Aaron Judge has surpassed those numbers, is going to surpass all those numbers tenfold. So I look at all those things, and I think he's going to wind up in Monument Park. But I keep Stacey debating in my head, whether or not he's going to have a legitimate shot at the Hall of Fame. And I think I have a really promising stat for people that are hoping he gets in the Hall of Fame coming up in the next segment. Plus, I think it's really important. I want to debate this with all of you guys in the comments specifically, and definitely get Stacey's opinion. In New York sports, let's take Yankees, Mets. You can even throw in there football, basketball, hockey. Have we ever seen a period of greatness like this from a player? And I'm not talking about team success, championship success, because it's really hard to measure that kind of stuff. Obviously, if you want to bring that into debate, we could just say Yogi Berra in the conversation here. But when it comes to team success, overall domination on the field, have we ever seen a period like this from a Yankee, from a Met, from a Jet Giant, Nick Net, Ranger, Islander? Have we? Because I don't think we have, honestly.
Here, quickly, before we go to the next segment.
I mean,
Judge and Soto. Like,
insane.
It's insane. It's insane. It's a pleasure. You know,
it's insane.
Like some of you youngins who don't have kids yet, and you start having kids, you start having families, and then you talk to your grandkids. You know, if the earth is still around then, you'll be able to talk about how you saw Aaron Judge play every day. It's a pleasure.
This is for a lot of older dudes that are watching the show. When you talk about how great Mickey Mantle is, this is my era of that.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say one thing quickly. I'm really bummed that my dad didn't live to see Aaron Judge because he would love him. He would love him.
Oh, the demeanor. He's the prototypical Yankee.
Like he would be, first of all, he would be amazed by his athleticism at his size. And I know Gus, he would be laughing every time Judge hits like he would have laughed at that home run last night. He would have laughed his butt off at that home run last night because it was absolutely ridiculous.
How old was your dad? Like, did he live through the Mantle era, or is he more?
Oh yeah, he was 70. He was 73 when he passed away. He would have been. Yeah,
like I'd be curious to learn from guys that are around the age, unfortunately, Dad would be now, or what he was, what their opinion is on it. Because if you lived through the Mickey Mantle era, I'm genuinely, because we can't really go back to DiMaggio. There's not a lot of people alive from DiMaggio's dominance. But I'd love to know what you guys honestly think about it. Because I know and try your best to take out the emotional aspect of it, thinking back to your childhood, right? Try to take that out of it. And just think of the pure dominance on the baseball field. Because I've gone over Mickey Mantle's career. I've watched the documentaries. I've gone through his baseball reference, and I know it's different to watch it. But was it the same thing, or is this just better? Because I can't imagine at any point Mickey Mantle was as good as Aaron Judge is right now.
Well, quickly, because we have to go to the next segment. Picture Aaron Judge playing back then against the pitching that he'd be. You know what I mean? Like Aaron Judge.
We'll definitely get into that in the next segment for sure.
All right. Coming up, Brian has a debate for you all, and you're gonna be part of it, so it should be interesting. That's coming up next. If you're looking for tickets for just about anything, check out the app Game Time. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and shows near you. Now, the Yankees will be back in town next week, and Game Time has deals on tickets right up to moments before your game starts and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats, so if you decide to go to Yankee Stadium at 7:15 and the game started at 7:05, you can still get tickets. I know people who use Game Time as they're literally walking up to the stadium entrance. So literally last minute. You can also find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for basketball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. And before you know it, regular season football will be back. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today and get $20 off your first purchase with code LOCKEDONMLB. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. So we want to thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, enjoy the Locked On MLB podcast. Host Paul Sullivan, aka Sully, is here for you daily to provide national expertise with his trademark humor to help you get ready for the MLB playoffs here in the dog days of summer. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it all covered every single day on Locked On MLB. Available on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And don't forget, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees.
So, Stacey, I want to continue this debate topic because I think it's really fascinating of where Judge is right now in the Pantheon. I want to see you guys' comments in the comment section. We'll bring them up throughout this segment. Where is Aaron Judge when it comes to your guys' opinion in great New York stretches athletes have played, right? Because we've seen great stretches, and I'm not taking into account championships, winning, that kind of stuff. It's not really fair to Aaron Judge. But let's just take into account a stretch an athlete has had, right? So Yankees, Mets, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Jets, Giants, Islanders, I'll even throw the Devils in there. Is there a stretch that you can remember in New York sports where an athlete has been this dominant as Aaron Judge? And I know the first one that comes to mind for a lot of you guys that you're going to respond is going to say Mickey Mantle. Right. And I think that's the best comparison we have right now for what Aaron Judge is doing. I look at Mickey Mantle's career numbers. First of all, I want to address John the Beagle Dad did say this. I think Soto and Judge in this season are surpassed Mantle and Maris. Now, they'd have to play more years to be in the historical level of the two of them. But I think what they're doing, what the both of them are doing this year are better than what Mantle and Maris did. Roger Maris was, I know this is going to hurt a lot of people's feelings. Roger Maris was great for a very short period of time. And when I say great, 2 MVPs, 61 home runs, unbelievable player. Roger Maris did not have even the career Aaron Judge is having. He didn't. He's not even in the Hall of Fame. I think that needs to be remembered. Soto, I think if he retired right now, there's a chance that he'd actually get in the Hall of Fame. I legitimately believe that. And I think Aaron Judge, that's the debate I want to get into too. What are your chances that he gets into the Hall of Fame? Now, Stacey, I want to ask you this. At this rate, how high do you think the odds are that Aaron Judge gets to 500 home runs?
I think if he stays healthy, because he's 32 now, and they're going to have to start DHing him more. I mean, they're already doing that, but they're going to have to start doing that to make sure he's healthy, because you don't want a 35-year-old Aaron Judge at his size trying to make diving catches and crashing into walls. You want to preserve him for as long as possible. Yeah, because he's that type of player.
I think at best you get 5 more dominant years out of him. Maybe 4. So at that rate, if you're talking 4 more years, you can't put his average at 50 home runs a year, but let's just conservatively put it at 35, which is still a crazy number to put it at.
Right. Like, I think he can do that. He can be the type of player, like, how guys like Nelson Cruz play until they're like 40 and they're still hitting a bunch of home runs because they're DHing. So they're keeping themselves. Point. Yeah.
Let me read to you the list of players that have reached 500 home runs in Major League history. There's 7 of them that have reached 500 home runs that aren't in the Hall of Fame. Okay. Barry Bonds, Alex Rodriguez, Mark McGwire, Rafael Palmeiro, Manny Ramirez, Gary Sheffield, Sammy Sosa. What do all those guys have in common?
What do they all have in common?
Exactly my point. So if Aaron Judge gets to that point, he's going to eclipse 1,000 RBIs. If he gets to that point, what are the odds he doesn't wind up in the Hall of Fame at this point? And I've sat here for a while and I thought there's no way his numbers are going to statistically get there to meet that level. And baseball does have those requirements because, again, they did it to Roger Maris. Roger Maris is, you can, I'm a big believer in, to get into the Hall of Fame, you can't tell, to me, the Hall of Fame is a museum that tells the story of baseball. Right. And if you can't omit this guy's name, blank's name, from the story of baseball, then he has to be in the Hall of Fame. And I don't think you can tell the history of the sport without adding Roger Maris's name in there. I don't. It's one of the most legendary seasons of all time. It's a 2-time consecutive MVP winner on great championship teams, played beside Mickey Mantle. That's enough. And Roger Maris, and a lot of people, weirdly enough, don't know this in New York sports history. Roger Maris is in Monument Park. He's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Now, there's a lot of Roger Maris stuff in the Baseball Hall of Fame, but Roger Maris alone is not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. And they've used his lack of compiling as a way to keep him out of the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
And there is a debate there. I think historically he deserves to be in because of his impact, but statistically, I understand why he's not in. Aaron Judge is going to surpass all of those numbers. He's going to hit 500 home runs. I think right now, I guess Vegas would put it at a favorable number that he hits 500 home runs. He's at 300 already at 32 years old. You'd think if he stays on pace for 35, he's going to get there at some point. I can't remember. I think back to certain seasons because like Derek Jeter was great, right, Stacey? But Jeter was never at this level dominance. If you want to take Jeter at this level dominance, he would have had to be hitting about 300 hits a year because Jeter wasn't a home run specialist. So let's count him in just hits because Jeter was a perennial 220, 230 hits per year, which is an insane number to reach. He would have been flirting with Ichiro's record every single year, around 280 hits a year. No one's done that in the history, but that's what Judge is doing. He's flirting with the home run record every single season. I don't know what player. I mean, if one comes to mind, the one that I think of is Jacob deGrom for that 2 or 3 year stretch where he was pitching to like a 1 ERA. That was electric. I'm a huge New York Rangers fan. I can't think of a Ranger. Henrik Lundqvist was amazing. Artemi Panarin's incredible. They're not playing at this level of greatness. I can't think of a Met other than deGrom, a Jet or a Giant. Can you?
Not off the
top.
Top.
I don't. The guy. 07 A-Rod was an incredible season. Aaron Judge is going to surpass those numbers this year. He is. And yes, A-Rod is the championship, and I see what you guys are writing. Judge needs a ring. I don't think it's fair to add that into him. Now, I do agree that I think if you ask Aaron Judge, I don't think he wants to retire without a ring. I don't think he wants to be that the one club you don't want to be a part of with Don Mattingly is the all-time great New York Yankees who don't have a ring. I don't think Judge wants to be included in that. So I agree with you that I think Judge wants a ring. I personally think for Yankee history, Judge needs a ring. I don't think he's in debate, honestly, as one of the all-time great Yankees without a championship. When you take Yankees, I don't think he's in there. But when it comes to, John, I'm going to keep commenting on you because you keep going. I don't think not having a championship does taint his accomplishments at all.
No.
At all. I still think he's a Hall of Famer without a championship.
It's a team sport.
Exactly. You can't hold that against him. And listen.
Are you going to take Dan Marino's accomplishments away because he never won with Miami?
Exactly.
Are you going to take Charles Barkley's accomplishments away because he didn't win in the NBA?
You can't do that. And I'll say this too. The Yankees were not bad with Aaron Judge. It was not a Lamborghini in an old shed with Aaron Judge. They've won 100 games majority of the years of his career here. They've won over 90 of the majority. There's 1 year they haven't won 90 plus games with Aaron Judge. I mean, take that into account too. They've made deep playoff runs. They haven't gotten to a World Series, but he's been to 3 ALCSs now. I mean, they've made runs with him. They've had success with him. Now, he hasn't had the greatest playoff numbers, but they have had success with him. And I understand fans remember championships, but fans also remember that legendary Maris Mantle season. Fans remember a lot of these old seasons where guys were outrageous and stuff like that. And Judge is putting up numbers that we keep talking about Mantle, Maris, and those numbers. You realize the pace that Aaron Judge is playing at and the way that he's playing right now, Stacey, he's surpassed the Mantle Maris numbers. He's in Ruth category. That's who we're comparing him to when he breaks all these records. That's the thing that I was talking about before. When you compare the people who are saying Soto and Judge with Mantle Maris, Soto and Judge are not playing at the Mantle and Maris pace. They're playing at the Gehrig Ruth pace. Every record they break lately is Ruth and Gehrig. It's not Mantle Maris. So I don't know how you can. I mean, if he gets to 500 home runs, and I read you the list of guys with 500 home runs that are not in the Hall of Fame, they're all steroid users. And let's be real, they all should be in the Hall of Fame, all those guys. Stacey, if he gets to 500 home runs, is there any way that he can be kept out of the Hall of Fame at that point?
No.
Exactly. It's just, I can't remember a stretch where we've seen any players in New York sports history play at this level of dominance. Like you said, getting around on that ball. I can't remember a stretch where it's been this good.
Yeah. It was, like I said, it's a pleasure to watch him every night. And it feels like some people don't appreciate it, which seems really odd to me. And I don't understand how that is. But, that's how Yankee fans can be. So what are you going to do? All right, coming up next, the Yankees are in good position right now. They're in a good position, and we're going to talk about that good position, and we're going to, talk about what to expect possibly in Detroit.
When you're taking in America's pastime, don't forget to hydrate with Liquid IV's Popsicle Firecracker flavor, a surefire summertime hit. Get hydrated with electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients from the #1 powdered hydration brand in America, because baseball and summer go together like Liquid IV and indulgent hydration. Blast off with the iconic summer flavor of Popsicle Firecracker, a festive blend of citrus-fueled lemon lime, tart cherry, and raspberry flavors. Find all of your favorite flavors on their website, from acai berry to lemon lime to pina colada. Tear, pour, live more. One stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. It also has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drinks and 8 essential vitamins and nutrients. No more thirsty summers when you indulge in hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to theliquidiv.com and use code MLB at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code MLB at liquidiv.com. And Locked On Yankees is also brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And unlike other apps, on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. All you do is pick more or less on 2 to 6 players' stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. And now that the Olympics are over, the WNBA returns later this week. And with stars like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese looking to make names for themselves, alongside greats like Breanna Stewart and Najah Wilson, you can win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. And how about some really good PrizePicks entries this week, right? Going into Detroit for a weekend series. Juan Soto to get a hit. Aaron Judge to get a hit. Look for some other Yankees, maybe Peraza to get a hit coming up, and let's see if he gets some play time. A lot of good options there, and you can find all of them on the PrizePicks app. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match of up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to, I'm freezing there for a second. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. And now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories today with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows that are covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now, available on the free Fire TV channels app. And remember that you can catch every pitch of the Yankees' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees.
And we're back.
We're back, or better than ever. Stacey, going into Friday, which is tomorrow, because you guys are watching this live. They're going into the Tigers series. Tigers have had a competitive year. 5 games under 500. I think a little bit right around where they expected to be. This is not a team I think the Yankees can take lightly, though.
Yeah.
They will stay in games. They will be competitive. They will be spunky. They did trade away Jack Flaherty, but you are getting the advantage in this series pitching matchup wise. Game 1, the Tigers are going to, first of all, rest wise, the Tigers are going to be finishing up their series against Seattle in about a half hour or so from now. So there's that you already get. The Yankees have an off day. The Yankees are probably in Detroit already, to be honest with you. So you get that. Tomorrow, Friday night's game, 6:40 p.m. start time. You're going to get Garrett Cole on the mound for the Yankees going up against the Tigers. Don't have a starter announced yet. And now when you look at the rest of the weekend, Saturday's going to be a 1 o'clock start. Yankees are going to send out Rodon, who's coming off an electric. I mean, it's really not fair to read off Rodon's numbers this year. It's not. At 13-7, 4.18, not fair because of the way he's pitched the last 5 starts. He's been so good, really hard to go against him. Rodon is going up against Kiter Montero, who's 3-5 with a 5.76 ERA. Has not had a good year. And the Sunday game, I think, is the one that we're all looking forward to the most, right? we'll be on directly after that. But Stacey, 7 p.m. Against the Tigers, Marcus Stroman's going up against Skubal. Skubal's 14-4 with a 2.53, probably going to win the American League Cy Young this year. Stroman 8-6 with a 4.01. That game will be played in, is it Williamsport, PA, where the Little League World Series is held. It's the Little League Classic. We're going to have a bunch of kids in the stands. It'll be on Sunday Night Baseball, which is at 7 p.m. That's going to be a fun game. I can't remember the last time the Yankees played in the Little League Classic.
Well, how long have they been doing it? Because I'm trying to remember how many years they've been doing it.
It's definitely been since I was young.
Yeah, that seems like a fun thing. I wonder if they're going to bring any kids into the booth like they sometimes do.
Yeah, they usually do. They've been playing games there for a while. It was officially became a thing in 2017, but that's not necessarily the first year they started it. It's like the first year MLB like made it this whole branded every year thing. It's been going on for a long time though, where they've been playing games down there. Since 2017 is the first year they made it like an annual game we're going to play every year and broadcast it and market it and all that kind of stuff. I love that they're playing it, and I think it's a fun game. Usually they have a bunch of kids there. I know there's a team from Staten Island in it this year, my hometown. So that'll be really fun. And yeah, it should be enjoyable. Let's see if I know that it's in like a neighborhood too, because aren't there houses like right behind the field too?
Yeah.
So let's see if Aaron Judge can put a ball through some kid's window or something.
No,
really
don't do that. Well, he'd pay for it. I mean, he has enough money to do that. He'd probably be able to buy them a whole new house if he wanted to. But
you could buy the town if you really wanted to at this point.
Yeah.
With that new contract. I mean, between him and Soto for sure.
Yeah.
Depending on what Soto's gonna get. Yeah, I just love I love Lester Jr. writing Brian, when you say when I was young, that was like 5 years ago. But I think it's a worthy debate of what we were talking about before. Yeah, thanks for bringing it to light on the screen. Has any more thought come into your head on a player that we've seen in New York sports that has had this level of a run? Because I honestly, I haven't seen anything in the comments. I definitely could hold on this opinion that while you can debate whether someone's been better or not than Judge, no one's played better than him, right? So overall in a career, you want to say Mickey Mantle's had a better career? Sure. And I think it'll take a while to get to that debate. I don't think you'll ever be able to say at a period of time any New York athlete has played better than what Aaron Judge is doing right now.
Because it's not, it was one thing when he was hitting a lot of home runs and that was mainly what he was doing, but he's improved his hitting so much that he hits singles, he hits doubles, he's hitting the home runs. His average, look at his average, where everyone else is batting 240, not everyone else, but the majority of people are batting 240, and that seems like a good batting average. And he's above 320, like he's really become the type
I wanted to bring
player
up this too, because look what John the Beagle Dad says. He says, I'm just saying I don't like comparing today's players to the early players of baseball. It's so different. That is the truth. And that's why I think Judge's run is above Mickey Mantle or Joe DiMaggio or anything like that. Because Stacey, you got to remember too, DiMaggio, Mantle, Ruth, Gehrig, all of these old Yankee greats, they were going up against pitchers 4 or 5 times a game. And you were seeing guys on their 140th pitch who had lost 20 miles an hour off their fastball by the end of the game. Like, that was a completely different era of the sport. Again, like this guy's saying right here, DP is saying, Aaron Judge is hitting at a time where the rules favor the pitcher. You're seeing, when was there an era where Mickey Mantle saw guys coming out of the bullpen throwing 102 miles an hour with the movement they have? That was never a thing in their era. And it is an era it is a thing in Aaron Judge's era.
Just to point out this comment, it's true. He's the first player since Mark McGwire, or him and Mark McGwire are the only players to get to 300 home runs before getting to 1,000 hits. Which
is crazy. How far is Judge away? He can't be that far away.
I don't think he's that far away.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the thing, right? There's going to be a lot of things that Aaron Judge is not going to hit when it comes to career-wise, right? Like Alex Rodriguez, to me, I mean, there's no more.
Well, yeah, think of it this way: Aaron Judge didn't start playing.
He's at 988 hits. So
Aaron Judge didn't start playing till he was older. Alex Rodriguez hit his 500th home run when he was 32 in 2007, August 4th, 2007. He hit his 600th home run on August 4th, 2010.
Wow.
So that was the span between 500 and 600. I
Yeah,
mean,
and
he did miss the month and a week, like a month and a week in 09 with the hip thing and all the other
yeah,
stuff, but he came back and hit a home run in his first at bat when he did do that. But just to show you the timeline of everything, like A-Rod started playing when he was young. So he was
Judge is
able
at
to get to those higher
900
numbers.
988 hits, so he'll be there in 2
Right.
weeks
So he's
at
right
1,000
there.
hits.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
yeah.
I mean, but again, A-Rod's one of the only players in baseball history with 600 home runs and 3,000 hits. Judge isn't going to sniff 3,000 hits, unfortunately.
No. No.
So I mean, he's going to have that working against him. Judge has 682 RBIs. Now he's going to finish with over 1,000 RBIs. A-Rod has 2,000 RBIs. There's a lot of statistics that overall from a career. That's the point that I wanted to make in the debate, though. There's a lot of things over a career standpoint. Aaron Judge is not going to sniff Alex Rodriguez when it comes to career statistics. I think there's a healthy debate out there, steroids aside, that Alex Rodriguez is the greatest player in the history of baseball. Honestly, but we can have that for another day.
That's a funny screen name, and yes, he started young. I said that.
Yes, exactly.
Aaron
Aaron Judge did do that to himself. He did go to college. He did make all those decisions. So who knows? And that does have something to do with talent, also, that you can start at 18 years old. Regardless, we're not debating A-Rod or Judge. That was the point in the debate that I had, though, is over a stretch of time. I know A-Rod was great, and I brought up A-Rod's 2007 MVP campaign. Is there a period of time where a Yankee Met anybody has played at this dominant of a level? Definitely no one better, I don't think. Again, if you want to put A-Rod's, 05 to 07, 08 run, sure. I guess include 09 because of the championship. But if you want to include that run, absolutely, I'd include that run. I have no problem with that, Stacey. But if A-Rod doesn't have the suspensions later on in his career, he passes Bonds easily. He probably gets 800 home runs. Like Judge, and who knows, if Judge comes up at 18 years old, maybe he does get to that point. I don't think we've ever seen a period of time where a New York athlete has played at this level before. I definitely haven't seen it. I don't know if you've seen it. I don't know if any of the guys and again, you can bring up Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris. I don't think they ever reached this level of hitting 320, not striking out, getting a ton of base hits. I mean, I don't remember a period of time. I mean, Judge has 142 hits this year.
Right.
He's got 110 RBIs. He's hitting 333. He's scored 95 runs. He's doing all this in 426 at-bats. Stacey,
that would be an MVP season for someone for a whole season. We're not even there yet. It's mid-August. This is insane what he's doing right now. It's absolutely bonkers. He's
played in under 1,000 games, and he hit his 300th home run. You realize he's hit a home run in almost a third of his career games.
Right.
So he's averaging a home run per series in his career. That's ridiculous. I don't think anybody has ever done that. I can't remember a New York athlete. I saw someone earlier in the chat, right? Patrick Ewing was really dominant. Yeah, he was, but for Patrick Ewing to be at this equivalent, he would have had to be getting 22 rebounds a game.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
So the Yankees are what? Half a game up on the Orioles?
Yeah, at this point. The Orioles did win last night. That's why that comeback is actually bigger than anyone can surmount, because yes, it's coming back against the White Sox, all of that. The comeback is so huge, Stacey, because they did it at a game where the Orioles won. They beat the Nationals. So you kept pace with them and you stayed ahead of them.
So speaking of that, quickly before we go, my brother is in Cooperstown. He's an umpire. He umpires for, is it the A? I don't remember the association, but he goes to Cooperstown for like 2 weeks every summer, and he's up there. And we were texting during the game, and he was excited that they tied it up. I said, well, yeah, now they have to pull ahead and score 8 runs because I don't trust the bullpen. And then after they got to 10-2, my brother texted me and said, apparently you're Nostradamus because
literally
they scored the 8 runs. So you're welcome, everyone. All right. Before we go, one more time, you can catch every pitch of the Yankees hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Yankees. We want to thank you, one, for joining us. There's almost 100 people in here, so thank you for joining us during your lunch hour. And thank you for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. Now, go check out the Locked On MLB podcast. Prepare for the Fall Classic with Sully, who has it covered for you every single day. You can find the link to Locked On MLB in the description, so you don't need to search. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Again, thank you for joining us. We were a little tired. Let's admit it. We were tired last night, and Brian was off today, and we thought, let's do a noon live stream. Why not? So here we were. So that'll do it for this live edition of Locked On Yankees. I'm Stacey Gotsulias.
And I'm Brian McKeon. We'll catch you guys tomorrow for Fan Mail Friday.
That's right. Fan Mail Friday. Get those questions in.